Thank you for tuning in to the Special Ballots module for the 2025 Municipal Affairs Election Training Program. This module will focus on the ins and outs of special ballots from the perspective of municipalities and school divisions. If you are an elector looking for information about how to vote by special ballot, there is a separate webinar that is more targeted, specifically to electors, called Voting by Special Ballot in the 2025 Municipal Election. Make sure your vote counts. It is available on the Municipal Affairs website at alberta.ca. I'm Angela Bilski, and I've been an advisor with Municipal Affairs for over 9 years. My colleague Charlene Brown is an advisor in the municipal viability area of the ministry and will be demonstrating the processes I will talk about. As a disclaimer, this video is intended as an introduction and overview of some of the things you need to know as a returning officer. This presentation does not provide a comprehensive review of the legislation and is not legal advice. If you have questions about how the legislation applies to specific circumstances, make sure to get advice from your legal counsel. If you watched our previous presentations, you already know that our 2025 training is being delivered in pre-recorded videos and posted to the Municipal Affairs website throughout the election year. If you haven't watched these presentations, please take some time to watch them. In addition, the elections database videos provided by our information services team have been posted to our election resources page. Before I get started, I want to point out that throughout this presentation, I will be referring to the Local Authorities Election Act, the LAEA for short, and its associated regulations, including the updated forms regulation. Make sure you are referring to the latest available electronic version of the LAEA on the King's Printer website, as there have been many significant changes since the last election. We also have a number of resources developed for this upcoming general election, including a sample forms and instructions manual, and these can all be found on our Municipal Election Overview page. These resources have now been updated to incorporate the recent legislative amendments. A link to these resources is included on the final slide of this presentation. For this webinar, I will be discussing the following topics. The first part will touch on the requirements for your local jurisdiction to allow for special ballots. It's flagged as new here because this process has changed with recent amendments to the LAEA. So I will discuss those changes in detail. I'll also touch on the processes involved in preparing the special ballot packages, as well as receiving them back from electors and verifying them. This will include demonstrations of these processes. Please note that references made to local jurisdictions throughout this webinar include both municipalities and school divisions. There is also a separate webinar that demonstrates how electors must handle their special ballots in order for them to be counted. You may wish to provide the link to this webinar on your website, social media, and any relevant election materials that you produce. So what would be some reasons why a council or school board would want to authorize the use of special ballots for its electors? Special ballots provide a useful tool for local jurisdictions that wish to increase voting opportunities for electors. The purpose is to support the democratic process by permitting eligible electors who will not be able to vote at advance polls or at the voting station on the day of the election. For instance, local jurisdictions may wish to consider offering special ballots if they have a large population of electors with disabilities or voters that are considered snowbirds who want the ability to vote for their local representatives while not at their usual residence. However, the use of special ballots is discretionary, so it is ultimately up to each council or school board to make the determination of whether to offer them. The first step in the special ballot process is council's authorization of their use through council resolution. Without this resolution, no special ballots can be offered, and electors will be limited to voting in person at advance polls or on election day. In person. This resolution can be made any time up until nomination day, which for this election is September 22nd, 2025. While considering this decision, council and the returning officer will want to think about the methods by which electors will be able to make requests for special ballots. Section 77.1 Sub 2 allows for requests for special ballots to be made in writing, by telephone, by fax, in person, by email, and by secure website. Are all of these applicable or achievable in your local jurisdiction? For example, does your municipality have the capacity or technology to offer a secure website for this purpose? After reviewing all relevant options, Council must specify in the resolution which method or methods of application will be offered in your municipality. Also, during what period of time can electors request special ballot packages? You may not be prepared to accept requests immediately upon the Council resolution to allow for special ballots. So does Council wish to set up a specific start date for accepting requests? Also, to help prevent a special ballot package from going out with insufficient time for the package to be returned, Council may want to set a specific end date after which no other application requests will be granted. And when will special ballot packages need to be returned by electors? Under Section 77.2 Sub 2, a municipal council or school board, by resolution, may set a time and date earlier than the closing of the voting station on election day for when a completed special ballot package must be received by a returning officer. If no resolution is set, the elector must send the completed special ballot package so that it reaches the returning officer no later than the close of the voting station on election day. Before I start talking about processes related to special ballots, we need to discuss some significant changes introduced by the Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment Act 2024, otherwise known as Bill 20. The most relevant for our discussion here is the inclusion of the Permanent Electors Register, or PER for short. As stated in Section 49 Sub 1 of the LAEA, a municipality must prepare a Permanent Electors Register of residents in the municipality who are eligible to vote, compiled and revised primarily using information received from Elections Alberta. While this is a requirement for the vast majority of municipalities, some villages may, but are not required to, enter into an agreement to use the Permanent Electors Register. However, if a summer village does not prepare one, it will impact its ability to offer special ballots, which we'll talk about in the next slide. At this point, municipalities should have already secured agreements with Elections Alberta for the use and maintenance of the PER. Also, school divisions conducting their own elections can request a copy of the PER from municipalities in the same area in order to enable the vouching process and special ballots. Who is eligible to vote by special ballot? Section 77.1 Sub 1 of the LAEA was amended through Bill 20 and now states that an elector whose name is contained in the Permanent Electors Register and who is unable to vote at an advance vote or at the voting station on election day may apply to vote by special ballot. Those of you who have worked previous elections may remember that special ballots could only be provided due to physical disability, absence from the jurisdiction, or to those working as a returning officer, substitute returning officer, deputy returning officer, or constable who could not vote due to carrying out their official duties. Now, electors can request a special ballot if they are on the Permanent Electors Register and if they can't attend the vote or advance vote for whatever reason. They could be provided with a special ballot. This change may result in more electors taking advantage of this voting opportunity. This is a very high-level overview of the special ballot process. The next few slides will provide more detail. But in a nutshell, if the elector's name is already contained in the PER, they can request a special ballot by completing Form 22, and then they will be sent a special ballot package. If their name is not contained in the PER, they must complete an additional process to have their name added to it before they can request a special ballot. This involves completing a preliminary Form 22, Form 13, and providing a copy of their identification that meets the requirements of Section 53. Then a second Form 22 is required before the returning officer can send them the special ballot package. Let's take a look at these scenarios in more detail. For those electors whose names are already listed in the PER, applications for a special ballot must be made in the method or methods provided for in the resolution authorizing special ballots. Again, this can be in writing, by telephone, fax, in person, email, and by secure website. If authorized election staff can take the elector's information over the phone and write it into Form 22, this will expedite the process a bit. Again, if your council or school board has not made a resolution to provide for special ballots, electors will be limited to vote in person at an advance vote or on election day. Form 2 requires the municipal address of the residence of the elector's school elector status if the elector is voting for a school trustee, the mailing address to which the special ballot is to be sent, the elector's contact telephone number, and a contact email address if the elector is unreachable by telephone. There is also a checkbox on the form to indicate the elector is properly on the PER for the relevant local jurisdiction, and another set of boxes to indicate which specific ballot or ballots the elector is requesting. They can also indicate the address to which they wish to have the package emailed, or if they prefer to have it held for pickup. Charlene will now demonstrate the process of filling out this form from the perspective of an elector already listed in the PER. This could also be applied to a deputy returning officer filling out the form over the phone.
Requesting a special ballot package for when you're on the Permanent Electors Registry. You fill out a Form 22. The top portion of the form will be filled out by the returning officer. You indicate your name, the address of where you live, and advise that you're unable to vote at an advanced voting station or at the voting station on election day. You will then advise that you are properly on the Permanent Electors Registry for the above named local jurisdiction. You will indicate what ballots you wish to receive. Chief elected official, which is your mayor or reeve, and councillors. If there is an opportunity to vote for a public school trustee and you wish to, public or separate school trustee, and you wish to have a ballot for those particular positions, you pick the applicable one. You advise where your special ballot should be sent to by regular mail, which is the complete address to where the application will be mailed, including the postal code. If there is an opportunity for you to pick up your special ballot during regular office hours, you would advise accordingly. The date of the request will be put in here, in this block. Contact telephone number, contact email address. And that is how you actually apply for a special ballot.
What happens if an elector did not update their information or register through the VoterLink website by September 14th of 2025, or happened to move after this date but still wants to vote by special ballot in the October 20th election? This process is a bit more involved compared to the one for those already listed in the PER. An elector whose name is not contained in the Permanent Electors Register and who is unable to vote at an advance vote or at the voting station on election day must first apply to be added to the PER by completing both a preliminary Form 22 and Form 13, which is called Elector Register and shouldn't be confused with the Permanent Electors Register. The preliminary Form 22 will indicate that their name is not listed in the PER, but they are applying to do so by completing Form 13 and including a copy of a piece of ID that is either a photo ID, such as a driver's license with their current address, or another non-photo piece that shows both their name and current address. Once they've met all the requirements of this preliminary step and it is determined they are eligible to vote in the local jurisdiction, the returning officer can add them to the PER. Once the returning officer has notified them that they are now listed in the PER, another Form 22 will need to be filled out indicating they are listed in the PER, and then a special ballot package can be sent to them. The second Form 22 could possibly be done over the phone if the Council has authorized the phone method via resolution. Just to quickly recap this process, as outlined by Section 77.1, Sub 1.1 of the LAEA, an elector whose name is not contained in the Permanent Electors Register and who is unable to vote at an advance vote or at the voting station on election day may apply to be added to the Permanent Electors Register by A, completing an application in the prescribed form, which is Form 22, B, making a statement in the prescribed form that the person is eligible to vote as an elector. This is Form 13 or Form 13 SV for summer villages. C, including a copy of the elector's identification that meets the requirements of Section 53 Sub 1 Sub B. And D, providing this information to the returning officer of the elector's local jurisdiction. Now Charlene will demonstrate the process of filling out the required forms for electors requesting special ballots who are not listed in the PER. It is geared to electors but shows what is required when a DRO is filling it out with an elector over the phone.
How to apply to be on the Permanent Electors Registry and get a special ballot. You need to fill out Form 13, the top, which is the elector registry. The top portion of this form will be filled out by your returning officer. You will then have to place your name, your complete address and postal code, your date of birth, and you need to confirm you're eligible to vote at the above-mentioned election because you have not voted before in this election. You're 18 years age or older. You're a Canadian citizen. Your place of residence is within the voting station, substation, or ward on election day, and you must provide pieces of identification. You have to confirm that you're resident, and one of those pieces of identification has to prove your residency within that local jurisdiction. You will also click whether you're eligible to vote for a public school trustee or a separate school trustee, if applicable. You will have to sign. Once that form is completed, you will go to the next form, which is a Form 22. The Form 22 is a request for a special ballot package. The top portion of the form will be filled out by your returning officer. You will have to have your name, your address, and your postal code. You will then select, I am not on the permanent register for the above named local jurisdiction, and you're applying to be added to the permanent elector register. You confirm that you've included a copy of your identification, and you have completed a statement of elector eligibility on Form 13, which was the previous form. You will then request you want a special ballot, including one of each of the following ballots. One for your chief elected official, your mayor or reeve, one for your council members, and if applicable, your trustees for school board. Page 2 needs to be filled out as well. You would have to advise where you would like your special ballot to be sent to, and it needs to be sent by regular mail, or if available at your local office, you will confirm that you have arranged for your special ballot pickup to be picked up, and you will put the date of the request in there. You need to include your telephone number and an email address. And that's how you apply for a special ballot when you are not on the PER.
Once it is confirmed the elector is on the PER, Section 77.1 Sub 3 Sub A mandates the use of the special ballot elector register. but other than outlining some specific information that it must contain, there is no regulated form or template to use. You will require columns in the special ballot elector register for the name of the elector and the elector's place of residence, the name or number of the voting subdivision, the date and time for when the returning officer received the special ballot certificate envelope, and a column with the title Voted. While not required, you may also wish to track in the special ballot register the date and time the application was received and the date and time the special ballot package was sent out for tracking purposes. Please note that Section 77.1 Sub 4 requires that upon request, the names and addresses of those electors who applied for and have been provided with a special ballot package be made available to a candidate's official agent, or scrutineer. As I had already mentioned, there is no template for the special ballot voter register. That said, here's a mock-up of a potential special ballot register using an Excel spreadsheet. The columns highlighted in yellow are not legislatively required, but they may be helpful in your processing of special ballot packages. Once the elector's name and address is recorded in the special ballot register, the returning officer must then provide a special ballot package to the elector. The following steps outline the process of assembling the special ballot package. First, initial the back of each ballot and place the appropriate ballot in or tucked next to each ballot envelope. Do not seal the ballot envelope or envelopes. Ensure the ballot envelopes are labeled with the title of each elected office. These may include public or separate school trustee, chief elected official, councillor, and bylaw or question ballots, depending on your circumstances. On the front of a 9x12 envelope, tape or staple a copy of Form 25, which is the special ballot certificate envelope, to the front of the envelope in a way that allows easy access to the back of the form. Complete the top portion of Form 25 by filling in the local jurisdiction's FOIP or ATIA official and phone number, the name of the local jurisdiction, election date, voting subdivision or ward, and voting station. These fields can be populated in advance of printing the form. Label a 12x15 envelope with the address to which the special ballot package will be returned. The local jurisdiction is not required to provide stamps or other postage for the return of the special ballot package. Place the ballots, the unsealed ballot envelopes, the special ballot certificate envelope, the fully filled in Form 24, which is the special ballot voting instructions, and the unsealed return envelope inside the final 12x15 envelope. Address this final envelope to the address to which the elector has specified to send the special ballot package. Seal this envelope only and mail to the elector. Update the special ballot register if you hadn't registered this individual on the register. Now is the time to do so. We suggest that you prepare special ballot packages in advance in the event you happen to be unavailable when one needs to be provided. If you have packages mostly prepared, assembled, and ready to go, it would make it easier for the substitute returning officer or a deputy returning officer to provide a ballot package upon request. You should ensure any staff helping with this process have been formally delegated this duty by the returning officer and have signed the statement in Form 2. Charlene will now demonstrate how to build a package.
Putting a special ballot package together for returning officers. You will need ballots, special ballot envelopes, a special ballot certificate envelope attached, fastened to a larger envelope. The top portion of the special ballot certificate envelope must be filled out with your Access to Information Coordinator, or previously known as your FOIP coordinator, the local jurisdiction, the election date, and if there is a voting subdivision or ward, it needs to be completed as well. Part 1 is to be completed by the elector. Special ballot voting instructions, which is a Form 24. Please ensure that question 9 is filled out with the date and time that the special ballots need to be received by. A return envelope. Place all in the larger envelope addressed to the applicant. Your ballot should be initialed by the returning officer or the DRO. Place in close proximity to the special ballot envelope. Form 25 should be fastened to the envelope, the larger envelope, to ensure that you have easy access to complete Part 2. Special ballot voting instructions needs to be included in the larger envelope. A return envelope for the returning officer must be included. Place all the documents in the larger envelope to go to the applicant. Post in the mail. Open the special ballot registry. Place the person's name, the address that you're sending it to, province, postal code, phone number, email address, and the date of the request. For best practice, it is best to have included who took the request, how the request was received, and then the date the package was mailed.
When receiving return special ballot packages, please note a new requirement from the recent amendments. The returning officer must open the outer envelope and remove its contents in the presence of candidates, official agents, or scrutineers, if any. When the returning officer receives a special ballot package, Section 77.21 sub 3 and sub 5 must be followed when verifying the special ballot certificate. First, ensure the certificate envelope is completed correctly. The returning officer must be satisfied that proper identification has been provided. The individual is recorded in the special voter register. The signature on the elector's certificate sufficiently matches the signature on the elector's identification, if the elector's identification contains a signature, and the envelope was received in time. If this is the case, the returning officer completes and signs the back of the certificate envelope, which is Form 25, by indicating that the special ballot is accepted because it complies with requirements listed on this form. For accepted packages, the returning officer would then open the special ballot certificate envelope, unseal the slot of the ballot box or boxes, and place the sealed ballot envelopes into the ballot box or boxes labeled as special ballots. Do not open the ballot envelopes at this time. Reseal the ballot box by taping over the slot and initialing and dating the tape. Retain the certificate envelope and the copy of the ID and store securely with all the other special ballot materials. Also, in the special ballot voter register, add the words voted and special in the appropriate column. Now what happens to special ballot packages that are rejected? Section 77.21 sub 6 lays out this process. If the returning officer is not satisfied that Part 1 of the special ballot certificate envelope is properly completed, that is, the elector's identification does not meet the requirements of Section 53, the elector has not been entered into the special ballot voter register, the elector has already returned a special ballot, or the envelope is received after the cutoff time, the returning officer would not open the special ballot certificate envelope. They would attach their voter's identification, if any, to the envelope, mark the special ballot certificate envelope to indicate the special ballot certificate envelope is not accepted because it does not comply with the requirements listed on the back of the form, insert the numbers of the missing requirements, and finally sign it. The returning officer must then place any rejected special ballot certificate envelopes with their attached identification into a rejected ballot packet, which is kept securely with the other special ballot materials. At the close of the voting station on election day, the returning officer must deliver the special ballot box to the deputy of the relevant voting station, and the deputy must proceed in accordance with Section 85 as if the special ballot box were from an advance poll. Charlene will now demonstrate the verification process for both special ballots that are accepted and for those that are rejected.
On receipt of the special ballot package from the elector, please ensure that you record the time and the date that the special ballot package was received in the returning officer's possession. Open the envelope and remove the contents. You should have a copy of the identification, and you should have a completed Form 25. Please do not open this envelope at this time. Review Form 25 for completion. Ensure that Part 1, the Statement of Elector Eligibility, is completed with their name and mailing address. They have confirmed that their place of residence is in the voting subdivision or ward on election day. And they've declared that the above statements are true by placing the address where the special ballot certificate is received and the date it was received. Ensure that the signature matches the signature on their submitted identification. Please ensure that this is witnessed, that somebody has witnessed the elector's signature by placing their name and their witness statement. Open your special ballot register. Input the date and time that the package was received. After review of Form 25, answer the question, is there a questionable certificate? In the case that everything matches, it is no. Then you will confirm if this person has voted, which is going to be yes, because everything matches. Carefully remove Form 25 from the outer envelope for completion. Complete Part 2 of Form 25. Enter in the date and time received of the package. Confirm that the name of the elector in Part 1 is recorded on the special ballot registry. Confirm that Part 1 is completed properly. Confirm that the elector's identification meets the requirements of Section 53. Pick 1. That the elector's signature sufficiently matches the signature on the top of the elector's identification. Confirm that the elector has not already returned a special ballot. And confirm that the special ballot was received within the time required by Section 77.2 of the Local Authorities Election Act. Then decide that the special ballot certificate is accepted because it complies with 1 to 6. Ensure that you have the word special in the column where the person has voted. At this time, it is okay to open the certificate envelope. Remove the ballots from the certificate envelope. Do not open and place in the ballot box marked special ballots. Fasten part 2 to the envelope, and you must retain the envelope. And put in your book for returning officers. When reviewing Form 25, if any of the requirements are missing, you cannot accept the ballot. You must indicate that the special ballot certificate envelope is not accepted because it does not comply with the requirements. The returning officer must sign this form. Do not open the certificate envelope at this time. Indicate that there is a questionable certificate on the special ballot registry. The reason, and indicate the person has not voted. The returning officer must retain the certificate envelope unopened, attach a copy of the elector's identification, if any, to the certificate envelope, and treat the ballot in the envelope as a rejected ballot. Mark the certificate envelope accordingly.
At the close of the voting station on election day, the returning officer must deliver the special ballot box to the deputy of the voting station of the electors who have voted under this section in the local jurisdiction, and advise the deputy of the names of the electors who have so voted. And the deputy must proceed in accordance with Section 85 as if the special ballot box were from an advance poll. If the local jurisdiction uses a counting center under Section 85.1, the special ballot box or boxes would be delivered to the counting center instead of to each voting station. When it comes to counting the special ballots that were returned and accepted, the process does not differ from that of counting the ballots from any other advance poll that may have been conducted. Other than the sealed ballot envelopes will need to be opened during the counting procedure. Subject to this section and Sections 77.1 and 77.2, the voting procedures for a special ballot must as nearly as possible follow the provisions of the LAEA, except that the returning officer may use one special ballot box for a local jurisdiction, ward, or subdivision. Please note, when it comes to recording special ballots, Form 19 has specific sections for this purpose. Do not intermix your special ballot accounting numbers with the rest of your ballots. Here's an excerpt from Form 19, which is the ballot account and result of vote, showing the special ballot accounting. The highlighted portions are the fields used for special ballots. That concludes the special ballots webinar. Please remember to review our additional election resources online and contact our advisory team if you have any questions. PDF versions of election forms and instructions if you have difficulty opening them are available on our Municipal Elections Forms page. If you have questions about school board elections, please contact Alberta Education. The most recent versions of the MGA and the LAEA can be accessed through the King's Printer website. Any questions about the elections database can be submitted to our Information Services team. Thank you for taking the time to watch this webinar. We hope your special ballot process goes smoothly.